Grupo Rebolu is here with us. I'm so glad that I have the opportunity to be able to speak with you guys, and I'm so glad that the World Music Institute has decided to feature Colombian music and you guys especially. And I'm very excited for your concert on March 12th. So when we were talking before, you said that you wanted to start off with music. So I can think of no better way for you all to start off than with music. Take it away, Grupo Rebolu.
Yeah, do it. Oh yeah!
Cumbia se llama Magdalena.
Hey!
Cumbia se llama Magdalena. Cumbia tiene sol, mi cumbia tiene arena. Cumbia tiene sol, mi cumbia tiene arena. Lleva las maracas, pinta mi pollera. Lleva las maracas, pinta mi pollera. Lleva el llamador, lleva la cadera.
Lleva el llamador, lleva la cadera.
Me quedaré cantando cumbia,
Tocando cumbia buena.
me quedaré cantando cumbia,
Al lado de Magdalena.
me quedaré cantando cumbia,
Tocando cumbia buena.
me quedaré bailando cumbia.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Cumbia se llama la tambora. Cumbia se llama la tambora. Más que llegó, pero sí que te impresiona.
La última que llegó, pero sí que te impresiona.
Por un paquete de vela y un sombrero llevo yo.
¡Ay,
Por
carajo!
un paquete de vela y un sombrero llevo yo. Alegre repicando y no tiene nada.
Estamos practicando y nos tiene enamorados.
Me quedaré cantando cumbia,
Tocando cumbia buena.
quedaré bailando cumbia.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Quedaré cantando cumbia,
Tocando cumbia buena.
quedaré bailando cumbia.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Me quedaré cantando cumbia.
Tocando cumbia buena.
Ay, me quedaré tocando cumbia.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Ay, me quedaré peleando cintura.
Tocando cumbia
Y
buena.
es que la cumbia tiene sabrosura.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Me quedaré bailando cumbia.
Tocando cumbia buena.
Ay, me quedaré tocando cumbia.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Ay, me quedaré peleando cintura.
Tocando cumbia buena.
Ay, me quedaré meneando cintura.
Al lado de Magdalena.
Epa, la cumbia buena.
Epa.
This makes me wish I was in somebody's backyard, like with a barbecue, or in one of the great clubs like Terraza or one of these
Right?
places in Queens. Someday after the pandemic, very soon, I hope to see you all there and everybody that's watching this as well.
Definitely.
So this is Colombian music. If you're watching this, you either already know or you're about to find out that Colombia is a country with a really, really rich, really varied, really deep, really beautiful set of traditional musics that come from that country. So, I just want to say a little bit about Colombia as a country is a country that has all of these different parts of the country. It has an Atlantic coast, it has an Atlantic coast, a Caribbean coast, a Pacific coast. It has an Amazon region, and all of these have their own different styles of music. And what you guys play is from the Caribbean coast, right? From
Yeah,
from
north
up
side,
here.
the north.
from the north.
Yep.
Yeah, right over there.
On
That,
top,
that,
yeah,
that,
Atlántico,
that top by the
Atlántico.
water.
Yeah.
By the Mar Caribe, right there.
Yes, yes. So here's Cartagena, Barranquilla, Santa Marta, and these are some of the cities that are in that area. Now, what you guys just played is cumbia. Cumbia is so famous all over Latin America, all over the world. What makes that you just played a cumbia? Why is that a cumbia and not something else?
Well, I would say definitely because we have these instruments right here, right? They represent, the African part, and also they're gonna play. They're keeping the rhythm, of the cumbia, of our traditional and most popular rhythm that comes from Colombia, that became so well known all over the world, and so many other countries joining, right, to play some cumbias. But this is where it came from. Basically, this is where it came from this side of the world, Colombia and the North Coast. And then maintaining this instrumentation definitely helps maintain that tradition and that rhythm alive. So, we love playing cumbia because it represents us as Colombians, and it represents our country and one little side of our region. So that's why we love cumbia.
And so what you're playing now is like really the kind of like folkloric traditional format, right? These are sort of the original instruments, and those are all made from natural materials, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
correct.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, and these instruments right here, they're both made out of the same material, usually wood called ceiba, and then it's made with animal skin on the top. So also we have the small one, usually the llamador one. It comes in it's three pairs basically: the tambora alegre, and the llamador, which is the same as this one, but a very small one that you put on your lap and you maintain the tempo. It helps maintain that tempo throughout the song. So it's actually a very important one. But sometimes, we all play and sing that we don't have enough hands to show all the instruments at the time.
Right. So the drum that Morris is playing, what's the name of that drum?
This is tambor alegre, happy drum in English. The other name, tambor hembra, or female.
It represents the female tambor hembra, they call it, or tambor alegre, right? The happy drum. And it's happy because, as you notice, it was very happy. The sound of it, and what the usually the percussionist is doing, it's creating that very happy sound of improvising, and it has that high pitched sound that it kind of just gives you the happiness to it. So that's why we love calling it the happy drum.
How much of what you're playing, Morris, is improvised, and how much of it is like sort of the repeating part? ¿Cuánto es improvisación de lo que estás tocando ahí?
100%. 100%.
I mean, he maintains the rhythm. Yeah. I mean, I would say there's a lot of improvisation, definitely, but there's some times that the music is requiring to maintain the basic pattern of the rhythm, right? So cumbia has a basic pattern that we keep, but obviously, aside from maintaining that, he improvised throughout the song, especially when I stopped singing, and you notice I stopped singing and we started, acclaiming, okay, go ahead, do your thing, show us what you can. It's a corresponds, so we allow, usually in a lot of the rhythms from the North Coast, actually, we allow the singer, the percussionists to do their part and show, and show their instrument, show off what the skills basically. So so I would say it has kind of like a 50-50 a conversation where you're improvising and keeping the rhythm pattern.
And then the drum that Erika is playing, what is the name of that drum?
Tambora. It's
The
played
tambora.
with sticks
Uh-huh.
on the side, over here. It's made of the same thing the tambora alegre is made out of. This is like the bass drum of the whole ensemble. And yeah, pretty much that's what tambora does.
And then there's a last instrument besides the llamador, which is the maracas, right?
Yeah, it's right here.
The maracas, which it comes from a fruit tree, basically a dry gourd. I always have this issue. Yeah, it's a dry gourd, right? They hollow it out, they dry it out in the sun, and then they just fill it up with some seeds, right? It's a special seed that they use for this maraca. This obviously maracas are also one instrument that is so well known throughout the world in Latin Americas. But this is a Colombian, a Colombian one. It's definitely, made maybe a different way, but it represents maracas in Latin music.
And also in Africa. In Africa, some part of Africa, they use maraca. I saw the maracas they use, but not too big, like compared like the Colombian maraca.
The Colombian ones are big.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this one. This one is a small one compared to the traditional maraca. They use a big maraca. So
yeah, they're usually much bigger, but
I think you have one there, right?
I'm looking for one. I probably have. I'll look for it during the next song. It's around here somewhere.
They're usually much bigger.
Here it is. No, never mind. I'll find it in a second. There's too much stuff in here.
But like some, to carry it, make sure it doesn't break. Make sure and then now they make them, in different ways. So I picked a smaller one so I can, do it myself too. So
right.
But yeah.
I'm wondering. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
With the pass of the time of the days, people try to make better instruments. So that's why maybe the maraca you see like a little small one. Like before, they used to use a big maraca, but they don't put too many seeds inside, so it's not sound appropriated. The sound is not like clear. This one is clear sound.
Right.
So that's what it is. That's why the maraca maybe turn a little smaller.
And I could tell you from experience, that maraca, Colombian maraca, is very hard to play to get the sound very exact, right? Because otherwise it just sounds like shh.
Correct.
You want to kind of always maintain those seeds together. That's the trick of it.
Yeah.
You want to keep those seeds together so it gets the crisp sound and just kind of falls into one beat.
So I'm going to ask you, actually, since we're talking about this, and since Luis Martinez has a great question that he wrote in, he wants to know, like, what's the basic rhythm for cumbia? Like, if you were going to play, like, the most basic part, what would it sound like, together and for each of the instruments?
Absolutely,
if you don't mind, just to show us.
Let me, Maurice is going to explain to you what is the you say, patron or the bass?
Pattern.
Yeah, the bass pattern.
Of the cumbia is... Cumbia is everybody playing in the tambora later is gonna sound like this, and after this you do the improvisation, so you improvise whatever you want. So, or let's do a little improvisation there. Go back to the part. And also we got the llamador, and the llamador sounds ding, 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 ding.
And the llamador and the maraca go opposite each other, right?
It's opposite. It's also, usually the upbeat.
Also, if you play the tambor only, and Johanna's gonna do the llamador, right? Johanna, you do the llamador. The maracas. Both maraca, one maraca is going to hit at the same time with the llamador. Pay attention.
The same for the tambora, right?
Arriba. And the tambora also. Starting with the llamador. Boom, boom, boom. Everything is like a conversation here, right?
Sounds great. It's so complex the way that, nothing makes sense by itself, but this is this is community music, right? It only makes sense once everybody locks into, like the gear, Yeah, I think it's very, very beautiful music. Did you guys bring the gaita?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, not yet. We gotta. That was just soup. First we had the soup, then we have dinner, then we have dessert. So that's just the soup.
Exactly.
Like I said, we need more hands, you know, it's more instruments. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah. So, but I'm sorry, Maurice, ¿iba a decir?
And the real cumbia is played with flauta de millo,
Mm-hmm.
and different from the gaita. The gaita rhythm is different from the real cumbia. The real cumbia
There's
is
two
played
concepts.
the flauta
Yeah.
de millo
And this
the same-
instrumentation.
the same percussion.
Yes, and it's a very different sound, the flauta de millo. It sounds
Yeah.
like a
The gaita, yeah.
saxophone or something. It's a
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very
Like-
clarinet or some
like
sort of very
clarinet, like
special
clarinet.
sound.
Like
Yeah,
clarinet,
and
yeah.
it's a very unique too. The way it's made, the way it's played. It's a
Yeah.
very small flute. You play like, you know, like usually on the side, but the way you blow air into it, you basically put your entire mouth into the, you know, into the flute or the hole where the air goes, and you're not only blowing out, but you're blowing in at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
it's you're inhaling and exhaling to get that sound on that
Yeah.
flute, and you're covering with one hand one of the openings to kind of also create a sound, which is so unique to see a flauta de millo player playing this. Is amazing. And you don't find it, obviously, especially here in the States. It's very hard to find milleros, you know, people that play this instrument.
Yep. So, you know, what you guys are showing now is really sort of like the real sort of like traditional original instruments and all of that. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how all of this fits into Grupo Rebolu as a project? You're not a straight folkloric band. You're sort of doing other things, right? So what's the concept behind Grupo Rebolu?
Definitely, I mean, and we can all definitely put a little input into this, but the concept is definitely maintaining the tradition, you know, and the traditional part with the traditional instruments, you know, because we want to keep them, we want to show them off and show people that this exists. But at the same time, we included in Rebolu the modern part of it, you know, and that's the drums, the guitar, the electrical guitar, the bass. You know, we have a sax, trumpet player. So that obviously gives that modern sound to it, and combined with the traditional, it creates one unique kind of sound. And then aside from that, having Ronald create the music and compose and arrange all the songs, you know, and he uses basically what he knows from Colombia and his tradition and his culture from what he has been learning living in the States for the last 20 years. So then you hear both sounds, you know, that traditional part and the funkiness, the jazz, you know, into it, because he's been living here and listening to so many other musics. So Rebolu is basically that's the main concept, maintaining kind of both things, because you can see that we're from Colombia, but you can also tell that we also live in New York. So, you know, right?
Yeah, I feel like the rhythms we do is like based off the traditional rhythms. And so, like, for example, I'm the drummer, like I know what the traditional rhythms are. So like I automatically think of how the drum set would go here. And like, it's like an experiment of like all the rhythms we do.
Kika, I was gonna ask about this later, but you know, your story with the band is really interesting. Number one, you're like you have the diaspora flavor, right? You're a New Yorker or a New Jersey. Yeah, I forget if you're from New York or New Jersey.
Yeah, I was born in New York, live in New Jersey.
Okay, all right. You know, and so, you know, I'm also, you know, I'm Colombian American. For me, there was like a whole process, you know, for me to discover Colombian music and all of this stuff. I know, you know, from what I hear, your family is like the Barranquilla embassy in the United States. It's like little Barranquilla at your house. So maybe, you know, I'm sure that you grew up with all of this stuff, but I'm curious, like, what your perspective was on this music. I mean, there's a lot of people who are going to be like, grow up here in the States and they say, oh man, that music is like for old people, or that's like back home stuff or whatever. But you went to, you know, Berklee College of Music and studied all of this, and you apprenticed with these guys for so long. So tell us a little bit about your whole process.
So yeah, I started as a dancer in New Jersey. I was like 7 years old. And then I met these two guys there in that group. And then from there, they would always invite me to play like solos with Rebolu. So like the interest of like percussion started with like my dad and like my family, because like I grew up with like that music there. So like all the Colombian traditional part of me is like, it started when I was like I don't know, in my mom's belly. So I mean, I grew up with all that music along with the American music. So like already there, I had like two concepts of music in general. And then from there, I started with maracas in Rebolu. So there's already like levels going over here. I started with maracas, then I played tambora and tambora alegre. And then from there, now I'm in the drums. So I hope to stay in the drums for like a long time, but I don't play sax as it is trumpet.
Eventually, she's gonna sing.
So
Yeah.
is it possible to take all of the traditional rhythms and put them on the drum set? What's your thought process for that?
Yeah, that really helped me like a lot to like, I guess, involve all the traditional rhythms in the drums, because like it parts from like the traditional rhythm. So like we're playing cumbia, I'm like, this could sound better here. Or we're playing chalupa, that could be like, I don't know, like the hi-hat would go like this. So like it really like, I guess a drum set opens up like my mind while I know what the traditional rhythms are. So.
Yeah. So Heidi Parra says, I'm so happy to see Rebolu today. I don't know, no relation, some relation, but there's Heidi Parra.
That's my sister. Hi, sister.
That's your
Hi.
sister.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Heidi.
So listen, we've been talking about rhythm for a while. Maybe it's time to hear some. I don't know if you guys have something else that you would like to play for us. Maybe one of the, like a puya or merengue or something like that.
Absolutely. We don't play merengue, but yeah, we're gonna play a puya, we're gonna play tambora, things like that. You know, let's play a tambora.
Okay.
That's it. All right. Le le le, yeah le le le, le le, yeah le le le, yeah le le le, le. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Por aquí me voy metiendo como ratón en su cueva. Por aquí me voy metiendo como ratón en su cueva. Voy metiendo la cabeza, aunque el rabo quede afuera. Voy metiendo la cabeza, aunque el rabo quede afuera. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Toca tamborero y no deje de tocar. Toca tamborero y no deje de tocar. Toca bien sabroso y rico, toca hasta la madrugada. Toca bien sabroso y rico, toca hasta la madrugada. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Cuando venga mi sombrero, le voy a pegar un regaño. Cuando venga mi sombrero, le voy a pegar un regaño. Porque yo le tengo dicho que el sereno le hace daño. Yo le tengo dicho que el sereno le hace daño. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí, como todos lo verán. Mañana me voy de aquí, como todos lo verán. Y volteando mi espalda, sabrá Dios lo que dirán. Y volteando mi espalda, sabrá Dios lo que dirán. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Ay, que mañana me voy de aquí y no voy a regresar. Porque me voy para Barranquilla y no voy a regresar. Me voy a gozar carnaval y no voy a regresar. Seguro que me voy para allá y no voy a regresar. La playa me está esperando y no voy a regresar. Un revolú que está tocando y no voy a regresar. Seguro que no regresaré y no voy a regresar. ¡Epa!
Hey, Grupo Rebolu is here with us from the home studio. Please remember that you folks that are at home, you are invited to ask questions. So keep the questions coming. I want to ask a little bit about the about what was the lyrics of that song about?
They talk about tomorrow I'm gonna leave Leave. I'm gonna leave, and maybe I don't coming back. That's what it is.
I'm out.
Maybe I don't coming back.
I might leave and not come back.
Is that a personal experience? Because these are all your compositions, right?
Absolutely, yes, Michael. Yeah, it's a lot of composition, but mostly the composition I inspire more in my friends and my family and people is close to me, you know, or my own experience to, you know, everything I try to put.
And also there's some improvisation.
Yeah,
you know, aside there's stuff that he literally just makes up in the moment. Right now he did make up, you know, some of those lyrics, which, you know, a lot of those rhythms, you know, there's kind of like trovas, you know, like you know,
calling and response.
Sort of like a call and response. So there's like a melody that you follow through. And if you're good improvising at the moment, then, you know, you can come up with that. And
but when you hear the music from Rebolu, you're gonna see all the time it's a story up there. It's a story about something, about anything, you know. Sometimes I make like funny things, sometimes I make like a serious stuff, you know. I try to play around with the compositions too.
How were you composing in Colombia before you came here, or was Rebolu really the vehicle for this?
I think I had the talent to compose when I was maybe 6 years old. I start making my own songs, but you know, I never take it serious after maybe 11, 12 years. And this song, the song that you hear right now, it was the first song I recorded, let's record this song because it's so good and it's part of the tradition now of all these rhythms.
And now here you are.
And now I'm here in New York. In New York.
How many compositions do you have?
Maybe 200. Yeah, and actually that's one thing like really made me frustrated sometimes because we got only 3 albums with Rebolu right now, and we also recording the number 4. Yeah. But you know, we got so many music, man. We got to put this music out, and now the quarantine make everything slow, and you know, let's say, man, a little bit tough with that, you know.
But I have to say that sometimes it's hard to pick. He has so many. We can't even make up our own minds to come up with 10 in one CD because they're so good that we want to put 20 in there, you know? And it's like, it's hard to, sometimes we go through that process, all of us, to decide which one we want to record because he has really good songs that he wrote 10 years ago and they're waiting to be recorded, you know? And we can only put 8 or 10 in one CD or something like that. So it's sometimes hard. He has a lot of music.
So what are some of the themes? You know, there's party stuff, and you know, there's all kinds of different themes, you know, that you write about. I'm sure because if they come from personal experience, everybody has lots of experiences. So I'm curious, you know, what is it about? Is there anything do you have a song that sort of that you could tell us the lyrics for in English that talks about sort of the group and the process? You know, because coming here to the United States, number one is a whole process. Number two, to become a musician on top of that, you know, also takes a lot of bravery, a lot of courage, and a lot of, you know, putting up with a lot of different things. So, you know, I'm curious if there's anything that sort of talks about, you know, that side of the sort of trajectory of yourself as a musician or of the group.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like we recently recording a CD. It was called Tiempos Buenos. Like, what do you translate that? Good time? Better times. And that song is called. It's dedicated to Colombia. I remember when I started doing the lyrics for that song, I focused more on my family and my country, everything, all the beautiful things Colombia has. Because, you know, when you move to different countries, it's when you appreciate what do you have out there. Because, you know, that's mostly the time happening. So one part of the song says about we want peace. You know, we want peace in Colombia, and with this music, we're gonna definitely it's gonna be part of the peace in Colombia.
Yeah, I think this song was written dedicated to, you know, him leaving behind his family, his friends, his culture, you know, And in fact, I think we made a video out of this song, and we put it at the beginning of the video. The introduction it was dedicated to people, leaving their well known. I mean, their family, and leaving behind everything, and coming to better times. So that song definitely represents what he did basically. So that song definitely.
Maybe not only me, maybe other people
everyone,
too. Yeah, like mostly everybody. Doesn't matter if you're not Colombian or you're not, or from different countries. You have anyway. Always gonna miss your country.
Yeah, leaving to better times.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I want to ask about Tambora, which is the rhythm that you just played, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about Tambora. What part of the Caribbean region of Colombia does Tambora come from?
Morris,
¿La tambora dónde viene? Bueno, el ritmo de tambora, bueno, estos son ritmos ribereños.
You can the rhythms from the river, right? From side of the river, usually the Magdalena River.
Mm-hmm.
Hay varios pueblos representativos con este ritmo, como Tamalameque.
There's a lot of little towns that represents, all of these rhythms that are by the river, like Tamalameque.
San Martín de Loba.
San Martín de Loba.
Incluso parte del Banco Magdalena.
And a piece of Banco Magdalena.
Todo eso.
Chimichagua.
Todos los pueblos bañados por el río Magdalena. Esa es la tradición. Ritmo de tambora, pajarito, baile negro, son de negro, chalupas.
So there's so many rhythms, right? That are usually played or sung on the river. So like tambora is one of them. Exactly. So it comes from, I guess, from that side,
Mm-hmm. So this is the region around Monpós. There's a lot of where people. There's a famous Colombian, I think, sociologist who talked about the people that live there as amphibian people, like frogs or salamanders, una cultura anfibia, because people sort of are on the river and then on land. It's this whole region here, and then here's the Magdalena River, which goes to, it sort of comes to the ocean near Barranquilla.
Yeah, start in Barranquilla and Bocas de Ceniza,
and
go all the way down to close to Bogotá.
Yes, it goes very far.
Yeah.
But Maurice, your family, I think you grew up in Barranquilla, but your family is from another very important place in Colombia, in Bolívar, that's called San Basilio de Palenque.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Palenque?
Lo voy a decir en español. El orgullo que tengo de que Palenque fue el primer pueblo libre de todas las Américas.
He's proud, to come from that side. His family from Palenque, San Basilio, which is the first town that was freed from slavery in the Americas.
Bueno, nací en Barranquilla, pero afortunadamente nací en una familia de tradición cultural, donde igual que Kika, que Ronald, empecé primero como bailarín.
So he comes from a very cultural family, and he began his career, his musical career, as a dancer, with his family also very cultural, very artistic, his family.
Entonces, donde aprendí primero todas las danzas tradicionales afrodescendientes de la costa caribe, y la música hizo su llamado, y desde muy joven empecé a interpretar lo que son los ritmos y los instrumentos tradicionales.
So he began at a very young age, learning the dances first, the Afro-Caribbean dances, and then he continued with all the rhythms and the instruments.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And I think that is very important. You know, people in English sometimes a place like Palenque, you would call it a maroon town, right? So it's people who sort of like, you know, left slavery and sort of fought off the Spanish and kept their own, you know, even their own language, and it's a very particular, very, very important place for Colombians, and especially for Palenqueros. And from what I understand, Maurice, you're also like you're like the musical encyclopedia. You're the one that has all of the different rhythms and all of the different, you know, all of the different folkloric stuff in your head. Is that right? Is that true report?
Yeah.
Sí, exactamente. Never forget.
And we always say, Maurice, you can answer.
It's crazy because we learned together. We learned together at the school in Barranquilla too, because we were part of the school and they teach folklore too. So we learned together, and sometimes I forgot things like, Maurice, let me ask you, man, where exactly is the cumbia coming from? He said, oh my God, I can't believe it.
And they know each other since they're very young. They know each other since they're about 8 or 9. So.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you guys grew up together.
Yeah. We been together in the same group. We play music for a long time together. So many experience. Yeah.
They believe it or not, they used to both dance.
Yeah, we used to dance a lot.
That's
Dancers.
So yeah, so what is another what's another rhythm or another style of music that you guys have in the repertoire?
In Rebolu, we use so many rhythms. You know, mostly everybody knows like cumbia, like the first song Johanna singing is called se llama Cumbia, and it's a rhythm of cumbia. But we play also bullerengue. That's a very special rhythm. I think they come from Palenque, right?
Yeah.
I'm correct. Come from Palenque, and it's called bullerengue. We also play tamboras. There was the song we play Mañana me voy de aquí. That song is a rhythm tambora. We play puyas. We play chalupas. We play gaitas, porro. And
recently we did a fandango.
Oh yeah. We also did one fandango.
I love the fandango rhythm, and I said, you know, you've made so many songs, but you've never made a fandango. I want to sing one.
The next CD is going to come out from Rebolu. I think, I don't know when exactly it's going to happen, but you know, this CD has fandango and also has mapalé and CRCC. That's another.
I never even heard of that one. Wow.
Yeah. It's very, very different. I can play a little for you. That way you hear about CRCC.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because if you never hear, let's do Camino Marindón more. It's not my composition, but I remember this song is very traditional, and I like it. I really like the melody and the way how the people sing this song. Let's call like this.
Cool.
Camino de Marindón, camino de Yarubé, voy a buscar a mi negra pa' bailar CRCC. Y si mi negra no quiere, me voy a donde Isabel. Esa negra si le gusta bailar el CRCC. Dice CRCC. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. CRCC. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. Camino de Marindón, camino de Yarubé. Voy a buscar a mi negra pa' bailar CRCC. Y si mi negra no quiere, me voy a donde Isabel. Esa negra si le gusta bailar el CRCC. CRCC. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. Anda. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. Anda, morro. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. Camelita quiere el niño pa' moler. Camino de Marindón, camino de Yarubé. Mi negra pa' bailar CRCC. Y si mi negra no quiere, me voy a donde Isabel. Esa negra si le gusta bailar CRCC.
bello. That's really nice.
It's very nice, and also the dance. When you dance at SSC, it's very nice too. It's very nice. It's like for me, I call like SSC and Mapale. And Mapale is very close. You know, it's very close how they dance. Very similar. And also it's 6/8, right?
6/8.
Yeah. Fandango too, right? It's 6/8.
Fandango
6/8 one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we have time for questions. There's a couple questions that are up here on the board, but I promised, we got through the soup and we got through the dinner. So, I want to make sure that we have the gaita for dessert. I want to make sure that people can hear and see the gaita. Yeah. So what were you planning to play for the gaita?
For the gaita. Okay, this is the gaita first. Okay. You guys need to see this. This is one of the magic instruments we have in Colombia. The gaita is made by cactus. This part right here.
Cactus tree comes
from the cactus tree, and the head is by beeswax and dark charcoal, right?
Ground charcoal.
And the part here is a duck feather.
The mouthpiece.
The mouthpiece.
It's a duck feather.
So it sounds like this. Let me play for you.
Now, this is just one of the gaitas, right? Usually there will be two.
It will be two, yeah. This one is called hembra, like
the female,
because they have more. You can see the difference of this one between the female and the male
version. Yeah.
The male version is because the female has more holes here
to play more melody. Yeah,
more for play. This one is carry the old melody, and the male is doing the bass part. So it's like
support. It's like long notes.
Like a support, like a more, like in the accordion too. I don't know if you guys, the accordion in the right hand, they play the melody, and in the left hand, mostly the time they play the bass part.
The bass.
So it's more like it's like a support. This is doing with the gaitas too.
But in Rebolu, we like to use always the hembra, to play a lot of the melodies. We don't necessarily use the male one, because most of us are usually doing something, playing another instrument, so it makes it really hard. I've tried to learn a little bit, but it's not easy. Not easy.
And the one who's playing the male also plays the maraca at the same time.
With one hand playing and that's not to mention that it's very long, and the two holes that you need they're like at the bottom. So it's very hard. I say, why they can make a shorter one for me?
No, it's not gonna happen. They're gonna make the gaita always.
So let's see what the gaita sounds like in context with the rest of the instruments.
Absolutely. I'm gonna play a song. It's called El Viejo Jose, and I make this song for my dad, and it sounds like this.
Okay. Whoopa. All right. So, a lot of people are asking about, where the different instruments come from, and so on and so forth. And a lot of people are asking about sort of similarities with other types of, rhythms and different types of instruments from different places. So, I want to say something about some of the questions. Maybe you guys want to add something. Somebody wants to know. Um, are there musical differences between the indigenous gaita ensembles from, let's say, San Jacinto, and someone says black gaitas from Barranquilla? I'm not sure what that means. Maybe gaita corta. Yeah. So, it's Jorge. Hey, Jorge, how you doing? Jorge Arevalo, our friend. So the gaita is indigenous. Is that correct? It's from the native people?
Yes.
Pues, la gaita, igual que la cumbia, es mezcla entre el indio y el afrodescendiente. Es mismo que siempre van a la percusión. Y ahí está el aporte afro. Y la gaita que es indígena.
So it's a mix. He's saying, it's a mix of the indigenous, plus the African. And this is the, this is the African part. What the African part, and this is the flute is what the indigenous part represents.
And then, there's Africa is, of course, a very big place. There's a lot of different types of musics and types of drums and types of instruments and languages and all of these different things in Africa. Is there a relationship? Alex wants to know if there's a relationship between this music and Bata music from Cuba, or is it from a different part of Africa, or what's the relationship? Do you have a sense of that?
No, estos ritmos afortunadamente solamente se dio en Colombia, no hay comparación con los ritmos africanos en la actualidad de que venga de tal parte.
So these rhythms, they're ¿cómo se dice? Netamente, they are from native. Colombia, native
100%.
Rhythm, 100% native from Colombia, not necessarily, they're African descendant because of the instruments, right? Because they're tamboras, they're drums, so that's the part. But the rhythms themselves, they're native 100% from Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
Hubo una particularidad en Palenque San Basilio, porque en la época de la esclavitud, cuando los africanos se escapaban de Cartagena, no todos los africanos venían de una sola parte de África.
So there was a part where
in Palenque, in the town of Palenque, when the slaves or the enslaved people sort of escaped and they went to Palenque, they were coming from many different places,
areas,
different parts of Africa. Yeah.
Entonces cada africano tenía diferentes partes tenía un lenguaje propio. Entonces por eso fue que se creó la lengua palenquera, para poderse comunicar entre tribus, porque no hablaban el mismo lenguaje.
Mm-hmm. So they were you're giving me a look like I should translate it. So I'll try a little So each of these people came from different ethnic groups with different languages, and so in San Basilio de Palenque, they developed their own language, which uses a little bit of parts of Spanish, but also different elements from the different languages spoken by the different ethnic groups there.
Sí, exactamente. Utilizaron el español como guía para encontrarle sentido a las cosas. Entonces, de todo modo, tenía un acento súper africano. Por eso es que nace la lengua palenquera.
Mm-hmm. And so from that process, using sort of Spanish as a kind of base, as a kind of common ground, they were able to put together, this language, which is palenquero. And maybe, Morris, maybe the same process, a similar sort of thing of people trying to find a common language is what you see in the gaita, which is an indigenous instrument, which is still played in the Sierra Nevada and the mountains. There's still indigenous groups who speak, their languages, who play gaita, and the drums. I want to say one thing about the drums. I'm wondering if the question maybe comes about the bata from the way that the tie that's on the drum, right? So right. I have but it's not the same as a bata because I have a different drum that has this thing in it. right?
Yeah.
Could you just show us? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanna mention something like we Morris forgot to mention that too. Is we play the same music in the north side of the Colombia, you know, and depend what part exactly you are in Colombia, your music, even your music sounds different.
Yes.
That's a matter if we are in the north. Like a sample, I'm gonna give you a sample. We are from Barranquilla. Barranquilla, el departamento de Barranquilla es Atlántico. If you go down a little bit, you're gonna find Bolívar. That's where it's coming Palenque, right?
San Jacinto.
San Jacinto. Monpós, like where Totola Momposina is coming from. And also we got Magdalena. Magdalena, we have Sierra Nevada, like you say, Santa Marta. So for me, my opinion about this is this, about the gaita, when I think Jorge asked about gaita negra, is if you see, it's not too many black people play gaitas. Because more the black people in Colombia play more what? Percussion. Right? So with the passage of the time, everything is mixed now. You know, in Colombia, especially in the north side, everything is mixed now. People from Bolivar, they move to Atlántico. People from Atlántico, they move to, to Magdalena and everything.
Yep.
So the new generations the new generation, they, play gaita, but because you play percussion, because the black people play percussion, when they play the gaita is going to sound very different compared to the people used to play gaita only. You know what I mean? Because you try to play percussion here too.
So you turn it percussive.
Yeah, for me more like paito. I don't know if you guys hear about one of the black people play gaita. The gaita of paito is very different compared to the gaita from San Jacinto.
Yeah.
And
they're also from different places, right?
And
from different towns.
Yeah, paito is more like Cartagena, right?
Yeah, it's coming. That's Bolivar.
It's Bolivar, yeah. Bolivar is more closer to
the ocean,
to the water, to the ocean, and it makes different everything. But it's the same music. We know that.
So it's really interesting, people are asking a lot of different questions about these sorts of things, but even when you look at within the Caribbean coast of Colombia, all of these, even from town to town, they play very differently from each other. So for example, I mentioned before, I said the word merengue, but of course I wasn't talking about Dominican merengue. Merengue is what some people in some towns call puya. Puya is another name, and in another town they're going to call it merengue. So they have different names, all of these different sorts of things. But
actually, in the rhythm vallenato, we have one rhythm called merengue. Merengue vallenato. And when they play merengue because the sound is very different. It's not going to sound like what you said, like in Dominican Republic, but it's a real way to play merengue. We know that.
En español, sorry. El vallenato, originalmente el vallenato era en guitarra. Después se introdujo la percusión, la caja vallenata. Por lógica no podían estar cargando un tambor alegre tan grande y pesado para tocar en diferentes shows. Inventaron un instrumento más pequeño que diera casi el sonido del alegre. Ahí nació la caja vallenata. La guacharaca es un instrumento afro. Entonces los ritmos de cumbia, gaita, todos pasaron al vallenato. Simplemente que este es merengue. Pero si tú escuchas los ritmos, es mismo puya de gaita, mismo cumbia, en paseo, los porros, todo es según va cambiando porque por la necesidad que se da en el momento en que se dio para crear el vallenato.
You want?
Dele,
No, I think what he said, we're talking. He was talking about vallenato, which is another rhythm, right, from the north. But because of the necessity, they're played with different instruments because, like the vallenato is played with the accordion, and then the percussion, not not necessarily they could always carry all these instruments that are big, so they made, they improvised with all the stuff or made it smaller, like the vallenato uses a percussion instrument called caja vallenata, which is a small one, and then he said in terms of the rhythms like paseo vallenato or merengue, the vallenato, it really relates, or it's very similar to like a puya, that's played with these instruments and to other rhythms. So there's a lot of similarities, no matter, even though it's within the same region, there's different instruments, but there's a lot of similarities within the rhythms, I guess,
Great. There's one last question, and I want to make sure that you guys have a chance to answer this question. Somebody says that WMI had a Mexican cumbia group called Son Rompepera 3 weeks ago, and they want to know if there are differences or what are the differences between Colombian cumbia and Mexican cumbia.
Bueno,
It's a big difference, especially because.
But I think they maintain.
Because, well, what I see is mostly all the cumbia, except the Colombian cumbia. After Colombian cumbia, I hear like everybody keep the llamador for some reason.
Yeah,
the llamador is ping, ping, ping,
yeah.
Like reggae.
Yeah.
That beat always you're gonna hear in any other
cumbia,
Mexican,
Argentina,
Argentina. I think Peru. I think Peru has cumbia too. That's a matter if they do ting pa ting pa.
They always maintain that, which is the llamador. It's really that, the llamador, the small version that I mentioned, the small instrument like this one that's keeping that tempo. So so even if it's a Mexican cumbia, it does have that main point or main rhythm pattern of the llamador. So so it relates definitely.
Pero recuerden que en Colombia, cuando en lo que es el departamento de Sucre nace la cumbia sabanera, que es tocado por diferentes maestros y con acordeón. Esa cumbia fue la que viajó a México. Y de ahí fue donde nació la cumbia, el estilo mexicano, que los mexicanos aceptaron ese estilo de cumbia, que es la cumbia sabanera,
la cumbia
el cual va con acordeón. Okay,
So in the part of Sincelejo, which is a little bit to the southwest, I guess, of some of the other parts that we've been talking about within the Caribbean region, there were band leaders there who made sort of arrangements of this for accordion or even for brass band and so on. And this is the music, Maurice is saying, that arrived in Mexico and that was taken up in Mexico. So it's a distant cousin, yes. So I'm really appreciative. I'm so glad that you guys were able to be here. I'm really excited for March 12th. I'm excited to have the full band, the full sound, the full experience. And I just want to remind everyone about that, and just to thank World Music Institute and to thank everyone that's here for supporting local musicians, for supporting local bands, especially during this COVID experience. Thank you so much for being here and for talking about your work.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for the World Music Institute and Michael, Brian, Gabby. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And we hope you guys connect on March 12th for the full experience of Rebolu, the energetic, and I hope you're ready to dance.
All right. And that fourth album that's in the works, I'm excited for it to come out of the oven. So I want to be the first one to know.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank
you, everybody. Good night.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so much, Mike. Thank you, Grupo Rebolu. Thank you all for joining us. This was so informative. Thank you. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you again at one of our other experiences. And you will receive tomorrow the recording of this session. Thank you.
Okay, great.
And have a
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Abrazos.
Gracias. Bye-bye.